Again to my tens and tens of friends. It is me, Teacher TJ, and today I will be reviewing Abbott's Elementary, Season 5, Episode 16, Campaign. The show opens up and Barbara's brought her grandbaby in to visit, and she lets everyone hold the baby. Interestingly enough, while Barbara was holding the baby cried. So Melissa asked to hold the baby. The baby stopped crying, which of course she feels safe. Melissa is not going to let anything happen to that baby, okay? Then she lets more teachers hold the baby, and the baby is not crying with anyone. But each time someone holds the baby, they give it back to her, and then the baby starts to cry again. And finally, they're like, well, let Jacob hold the baby. And surely the baby will cry if Jacob is holding it. The baby didn't cry. So now Barbara blames Jacob for making it cry for making the baby, stop calling the baby it, but for making the baby cry, because you got to blame somebody, right? And no, I guess the baby don't like Barbara. Or maybe it's her perfume. Fun fact. If you feel like your baby is always crying, one thing that I have learned, I've never had a baby that I could not calm down. And the way that I do that is basically from within. You have to breathe, relax, good emotions. I really, really, really feel that babies pick up energy. And with that in mind, it's important to be in the right headspace if you want the child to be happy, relax, and not cry so much. That's just what I think. That's just how I feel. I promise you, anytime that I hold a baby or have held a baby, it didn't cry. But if it did cry, I was really good at helping it to stop. One thing I will say to that also is to sing to the baby. The baby doesn't know that your voice is terrible. Sing to the baby. Even if it's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on repeat. With the right emotions and a song, babies are easy peasy lemon squeezy. The show starts in their favorite place, you guessed it, the break room. And Gregory is really happy that his students are making strides. So he's like, when you get a first grader, they basically start from zero. And Barbara's like, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. No, but Barbara is like, what do you mean they're starting from zero? Because Barbara teaches kindergarten. And Gregory is like, well, basically, I'm not trying to offend you, but what I'm saying is they don't do anything in kindergarten. So let's just address that there. I don't know why people think that one grade is more important than another, because the fact of the matter is school builds. It builds on one grade to the next. So I have been not downgraded, but treated as if what we do in preschool is not important, or it's not real school. And I have a huge issue with that, because the fact of the matter is, if you get one of my students, you're getting a good student. In my school, we learn how to be respectful to each other, how to stand up for ourselves, how to sit still, how to listen, how to focus, how to work on tasks, how to help a friend. There's so many things that you learn in preschool that I do not like when someone depreciates the value, or not depreciates, but lowers or minimizes the value of preschool as if it's not real school. I hear that a lot. And it's like, without preschool, you could tell a kid that's been in preschool versus a kid that hasn't, unless the parents are really working with that child at home, having them sit down and take time to listen to a story, or learning to share, or learning to work with friends, or it's so many things that happen in each grade at each level that one grade for me, as far as I'm concerned, is not more important than the next. If you ask me, I get them ready for school. Okay. When you get my child or my children, we've worked on ABCs, letters, we've worked on numbers and all of the other things that I mentioned. So Gregory is really putting his foot in his mouth saying that, in kindergarten they don't really do nothing. What? Yeah, so Barbara didn't like that at all. Y'all don't mind if I get comfortable, do y'all? Cause yeah, sorry. I just need to be comfortable. But anyhow, in the hallway, Jacob is running late and he runs into Principal Ava and they talk about the campaign that he's running for. And also Mr. Johnson is having a problem with the upcoming ball. Since Gregory has offended Barbara, they agreed to switch classes. Jacob is trying to establish his credibility during his podcasting class. Janine is helping Mr. Johnson for the janitor's ball, and he's decided to move his keys from one side to the other so that he'll look more spiffy. That's all he got on that. Since Jacob is running for a campaign, he asked Ava for help, and she's agreed to help him because she's a miracle worker, so she says. Ava helped Jacob prepare for his campaign by telling him that he should just basically do a smear campaign on old girl because it's too late for him to try to gain any followers or voters, constituents, because I think the voting day isn't the next day. Melissa and Janine have both helped to dress Mr. Johnson. They just put a suit jacket over his usual gym uniform. And Barbara and Gregory have switched classes, and he's getting to see what it's like to work with kindergartners because they're very emotional. They're still working on sharing and the letter U. So without those fundamentals, teaching the first grade is not even possible. Same with preschool. Is if the children aren't learning to be around other children and to socialize appropriately and to control their emotions, they're introduced to letters and numbers in preschool. So when they get to kindergarten, my hope is that they'll know all of their letters, but at least they know what a letter is once they get to kindergarten. And to tell you the truth, children can begin kindergarten without knowing their letters and numbers because that's where they learn their letters and numbers at. But for me, if I can get them to know their letters, numbers, shapes, colors, and all of those things months and days before they get to kindergarten, I know they'll be very successful. So that's my goal in school. Jacob is getting a taste of what it's like to work with the younger kids. It ain't easy. We just make it look that way. And then people just make up in their mind. All they do is play and sleep and eat. Full day going on in preschool. Full days. Same as kindergarten. Jacob's doing good with Ava coaching him as for the campaign. Basically, they're politicking or telling a lot of lies. Gregory is feeling terrible as a teacher because preschoolers, kindergartners are very emotional, like I said. So he said something to one kid and they said, "Stop yelling at me." He was so not yelling. Listen, I get accused of hurting my students probably 50 times a day. Slow down, relax. Ain't nobody hurting no kids around here. But if I brush past them, because I mean, we're in a space together, so it's quite possible that I might touch them and they'll real easily, real quickly be like, "Ow!" And I'll be like, "Did I touch you? Did I really touch you? I am so sorry. Are you okay?" Because even though I know I didn't touch them, you still gotta acknowledge it and make them feel better. That's what preschool is about, helping them with their emotions. And a lot of times for me, it's not just helping them with their emotions, but it's also getting them to be realistic about their emotions. It's like, and what I've learned is if you keep it real, it's kind of simple. When I am my real parent teacher voice, I'm like, because they'll be, you just hit me. And I'm like, this me. I touched your arm. No, I moved your chair closer to the table, but my belly, like, ain't like I pushed them into the table, scoot them up a little bit so you don't fall on your face and be mad for real because you're sitting too far from the table and push up. So now, actually, what I've learned to do is be like, can I push you up to the table? Because if I just push them up to the table, oh, my belly, like I just smashed them. Stop it. But a simple calling their name, let's just say their name is Tommy. Tommy, I just pushed you up to the table. I think you're fine. Tommy, look at me. Are you fine? Just talking to kids is really the thing and getting them to be for real. Because a lot of times these kids do not be for real. I'm like, you're not hurt. I didn't yell at you. One of the kids fake cried, told Jacob he yelled at him because he was talking to him. Maybe he didn't want to hear what he was saying. I had one student that shushes me when she don't want to hear what I'm saying. I'm like, go to the potty. Shh, girl, why are you shushing me? Mr. Gregory gives up. He just wants his class back. He goes to see Barbara and lets her know. Mr. Johnson's janitor's ball is canceled. Apparently there was some accident and they need all mops on deck. Somehow the teacher that Jacob is running against is actually the teacher that kicked the kid at the beginning of the year, I think it was. And she's gotten the student to join her to basically to help her campaign. She says we all been pushed to the brink. I don't know, but it sounds like she justified kicking a kid, which is wild work. And Jacob doesn't know where to go from here because basically his plan was to basically tarnish her image. But if she's admitting to kicking a kid and the kid has joined forces with her to campaign, where does he go from here? Jacob is losing terribly in this campaign to the lady who kicked the kid. Jacob keeps bringing up the fact that, how can we vote for her? She's kicked the kid. And the kid is like, stop bringing it up. It's triggering. What? It's not triggering working with her. And Mr. Gregory is understanding that what Barbara does is foundational work for, like I said, because we're building on one level to the next. Kindergarten is just as important as the next grade, and so forth. Mr. Johnson and the other janitor from the mall, the lady janitor, are able to have their janitor's ball. It's just the two of them, and they both cleaned up well. Janine and Melissa has arranged for the lady janitor to meet Mr. Johnson in the gym so that they can have the janitor's ball. Jacob won by one vote. Thank goodness that the rest of the teachers from Abbott showed up because I'm not sure he would have won. And Mr. Johnson was able to have the dance with the lady janitor, and they get to slow dance to Boys to Men. In the cafeteria, Mr. Johnson is dancing with the other janitor, and he lets them know that he is not cleaning at school tonight. He's on a date, and he lets them know that the teachers in the gym, which were Janine, Jacob, Melissa, and Gregory, he lets them know that he's done for today and they're going to have to clean up. And that was the end of the show. Thank you so much again to my tens and tens of friends for watching. And if you're new here, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share because sharing is caring. Bye, 10. It's to boys to men. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of Boys to Men. I don't like one song they made. Not one. Like, I never bought a Boys to Men album. I don't think any of them are attractive. Just take this part out because I have nothing nice to say about Boys to Men. Never did nothing to me. I just don't like them. I guess I'm gonna take this out because if you can't say nothing nice, you don't say nothing at all. At least that's what I teach my students.